So hello everyone, here is Arkin and today we're gonna talk about Dragon Ball Daima. And Dragon Ball Daima is the new Dragon Ball anime released this year, 2024, to celebrate the 40th anniversary of Dragon Ball. And in this video, without major spoilers, we will compare it to Dragon Ball Super, which was the last anime series released before Daima, and also compare it to other Dragon Ball series like the original Dragon Ball Z, and Dragon Ball GT. Both Daima and Super are considered by many as canon because their stories were written by Akira Toriyama, or at least a part of its story. But well, before starting this discussion, I must give you my background with Dragon Ball. As many of you, I grew up with Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z on TV. Dragon Ball was maybe one of the first, if not the first manga I acquired, in a time where getting a manga volume was a rarity, at least in my country. And I was fascinated by its style, the battles, the characters. Dragon Ball was different from anything else I had experienced before, and it made me become the anime fan I am now. I even developed a website called DBZ Site when I was 11 years old, where I would discuss theories about the manga and the anime. Anyway, there's so much to talk about this that we will need a whole new video to talk about the original Dragon Ball and the Dragon Ball Z series. Now, getting back to Dragon Ball Daima. Well, I was kinda nervous when I saw that a new Dragon Ball series was getting released. Of course, I was excited because I'm a huge Dragon Ball fan, but at the same time, I was afraid of what it was going to be. And part of this reason is because of the previous series released after the end of Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT, which is now considered filler, and Dragon Ball Super. Dragon Ball Super had some cool ideas, but in the end, it was kind of a disappointment to me. Overall, I thought that it followed the same formula of the later parts of Dragon Ball Z, with overpowered characters, but bringing nothing really creative to the series. There were so many transformations that brought nothing really new except for a new hair color that my interest was getting gradually lower. I will probably even make a whole new video about shonen transformations in the future, where I will discuss this with more details. There is also a huge problem about the focus on the battles and on the action that I will discuss in the later part of this video. And when I watched the first episode of Dragon Ball Daima, I was kinda surprised. They decided to transform everyone into children. I was like, what is this? It reminded me of Baby Looney Tunes but with Dragon Ball. Now seriously, of course everyone remembered Dragon Ball GT when Goku turned into a child. But this time, everyone else was also a kid. And this went in a funny way, actually. It reminded me of the simpler humor of the original Dragon Ball. And with each episode, it seemed more and more that the series resembled the original Dragon Ball. Goku even got his staff back from Master Karin. And this was so nostalgic to anyone who have watched the older anime. Even the evil characters like Goma seemed more humorous, reminding me of the older villains like Pilaf. And now talking about the characters. I think that their appearances and personalities are good with most of them. I really like the visuals of Glorio and Dr. Anrisu, but I didn't like the visuals of the Tamagamis so much. Dragon Ball Super also had some great character designs like Beerus and Zamasu, but there were some characters like Jiren that had nothing really special in their visuals. Even King Goma has a more unique style when you compare him to Jiren. And King Kaden also resembles the Ox King, He promises his daughter to Goku, and he seems like an evil guy at the beginning, but soon it turns out that he's a nice person. And another problem of Dragon Ball Super was the power level. Everyone was so overpowered that you lost the comparison and the parameter of the battles. This is a problem that started in the later parts of Dragon Ball Z that they tried to fix with Dragon Ball GT when they transformed Goku into a child. But I think that Dragon Ball Daima is performing this in a better way, by downgrading not only Goku's power but also everyone else. Goku continues to be strong, but at least he's not a god anymore. And he has to learn how to master his powers again, even with his limitations. And this creates a challenge to the characters. And the most important part of Daima to me is the focus on the adventure. I think that with Dragon Ball Super, the anime focused too much on the action and on the battles. We know that the same problem happens in the later parts of Dragon Ball Z and with some parts of Dragon Ball GT. And okay, we know that Dragon Ball is a shonen anime that focuses on battles, and it's probably the most important part of the show. But Dragon Ball Daima seems to bring back the sense of adventure and exploration that we also had with the original Dragon Ball. The main objective of Goku in the beginning of Dragon Ball was exploring the world, trying to find the Dragon Balls, training and learning new techniques along the way. Even in the beginning of Dragon Ball Z, we had the characters traveling through a spaceship to explore a new planet, Namekusei, and find its Dragon Balls. Of course, we know that besides the name Dragon Ball, the Dragon Balls are only a part of the story and not the main plot to the series. But Dragon Ball Daima brought back this sense of exploration, of going to a new road, finding Dragon Balls and Goku having to overcome his limitations to save the world once again. And this sense of not only exploration, but also the sense of adventure is what I missed from the early Dragon Ball series, that was kinda lost with Dragon Ball Super. Comparing Daima to Dragon Ball GT, Dragon Ball GT also had Goku and his friends traveling through the universe, but Goku ended up going to a lot of uninteresting planets that didn't matter as much to the overall plot, and a lot of those episodes actually seemed like big fillers. While in Dragon Ball Daima, the demon universes are all rich in lore and seem to add up to the overall plot, making you really want to know how that universe works and what Goku will find out in that place. So, is Dragon Ball Daima better than Dragon Ball Super? Well, it depends on what you like, actually. Dragon Ball Daima is way more simpler, more humorous, and it focuses on the adventure and on the exploration. If you prefer the action and complex battles, you'll probably like Dragon Ball Super the most. But personally, I prefer Dragon Ball Daima, and I think it's a better anime overall because it focuses on the adventure and on the story. But there is not a wrong or right choice, actually. I think that Dragon Ball Daima go back to the original roots of Dragon Ball, but in a new formula. Well, these are my overall thoughts about Dragon Ball Daima so far. If you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to subscribe to follow the channel. I will probably make some more videos about Dragon Ball, about shonen transformations, anime and games in general. So keep watching and see you later.